Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening today for this episode of Tree Talk 178 with myself, Jack Neville, and Matt Callan of the Weekly Observer and Vale Star. An awful lot to get through as we do every week. We started the leagues. We have the National Football League is coming down to the wire. The Hurlers concluded their league campaign, and the ladies footballers are into league finals. So stay tuned for all that and more.
The impression of the game you get out with what you put into it's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
Control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Shawnee Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word court today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Curry. Curry leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it high. He's put it over.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
How are you keeping on this Thursday morning when we're recording, Matt? It seems to be breaking the weather. There's a lot of games being played at the moment. It seems like summer is quickly approaching.
Well, Jack, this week, as you know, I have been in the sports for a while there now, but I'm like the cat that got the cream this morning, Jack, because before coming on, I was just reflecting on the week that we had since we last spoke. We had Colossi August Joseph kicking off the week with winning a school's hurling title. We had Ardscoil winning an All Ireland. We had Limerick footballers beating Laois. We had Limerick hurlers beating Offaly, and we had Limerick ladies footballers qualifying for the Division 4 final with a win over Fermanagh. Jack, it's the stuff that dreams are made of.
Yeah, it was St. Patrick's weekend as well.
We will have that. We'll take that anyway every weekend if we can get it.
Oh, sure. If we get that every weekend, you would definitely take it. But before we start, I suppose we're talking about Limerick winning, and I suppose sustain Limerick. The club Limerick draw is such a vital cog in that. It's less than £10 a month if you sign up for direct debit. I think it closes tonight, the midnight, the 24th of March, and the draw is on Saturday morning on Live 95 FM. There's just great prizes. Like, if you won that first prize, it would pay for your club limit draw for the rest of your life, guaranteed. Before you ever win another prize, there's an exclusive prize every month. There's 28 other prizes.
You'd want a long life at that, Jack.
You would. And there's 30 prizes every month. You only pay 100 for the entire year if you want to go about that. And the lowest prize you can win is 100 quid, I think, as far as I remember. So, you'd be a fool not to sign up. And the caveat is, 50% goes to your own club. So you're not only sustaining the intercounty teams, but you're also giving towards your club.
It's sure, Jack. It's an absolute no-brainer. You're talking about less than €2 a week. Yeah. And the amount of good that it's doing for your local club and the amount of good that it's doing for the county. Now, when you say it closes at midnight tonight, that's only for the March draw.
Yeah.
Like this, let's make it clear that people are free to come in and join at any time during the year. But it's very advisable to get in from the start. There are 30 prizes starting with €10,000. And they're scaled down, and there's an exclusive prize there, and the fifth prize is an exclusive prize. And you're right, Jack. It goes down to €100. So were you lucky enough to get your name pulled out of the hat or out of the bowl or whatever they pull them out of, at least you get your money back. It's an but Jack, apart from winning prizes, and forget about winning prizes, the whole concept of it and the way the money is being used, it is just simply fantastic. As you said, 50. If you pay €100 there, 50 of it goes to your local club, and 50 of it goes to the preparations of the Limerick teams. And I've just said why I'm like the cat that got the cream, Jack, when I listed out what has happened in the last week alone. And like the draw is going to finance some of that.
And a lot of it.
That's if we want more of that, let's get more people into the draw, and let's sign up for the 10 months. People would be advised to sign up for the 10 months today if possible. But if not, sign up for 9 months. Sign up for 8 months. There'll be nobody refused down the line.
No, I should have made that point that you can sign up for as many as you want. If you want to go monthly, if you want to go in March, and then you don't want to go April, that's up to you. But you would be advising to go for your own sake. Like this isn't plugging money into Limerick or your own club. This is just for you to give yourself. If you're not in, you can't win. Isn't that what they say?
Yeah, it's a complete no-brainer, Jack. I don't get it. People saying that tis too dear, tis too this. It's absolutely for nothing.
Yeah,
it's absolutely for nothing. It's less than €2 a week.
Yeah, pretty much. It's
God knows
definitely no brainer.
If you gave €2 to a child now, they'd look at you as if you had two heads.
So the price of penny sweets now, you would hardly get a bag of penny sweets for €2.
No.
So the inflation. But anyways, that's
scarcely a bag of potatoes, and you're in there with the chance of winning. Absolutely, the prize money is just simply phenomenal on a monthly basis, Jack. The prizes are just simply incredible, and like I plead with anybody that's out there or that's dithering about joining it, or please do join it. It's look, it's a no-brainer, Jack.
Best to look to everyone involved that's already signed up, and to those who will sign up before the deadline tonight for Saturday's draw.
Jack, congratulations and well done to Club Limerick and Siobhan Scanlon and those that are involved in it. Like the amount of work that they have put into the promotion of the draw over the last 2 months in anticipation of the first draw on Saturday has been simply phenomenal. And like we see what an important revenue stream it is, as we've already said, to the county board for the preparation of our teams. And we see the importance of it as a revenue stream to the local clubs.
Yeah, it again benefits everyone. But that's enough for the Club Limerick draw for us. Again, best luck to everyone this weekend, and I suppose we'll be plugging it again this time next month. But for now, we'll park it. I'm going to put a graphic up on the screen there, Matt, and just try and decipher this for us, because as Limerick go into the final round of their Division 3 football campaign, there is a world of permutations. Now, I went through them the other day. There's a full article on the website there for it. But the long and short of it, from a Limerick point of view, is if you beat Fermanagh, you are promoted. But outside of that, you are definitely, I suppose, pushing it and looking at results elsewhere.
You are, and I honestly believe, win the game, win the football match, you're into Division 2, you're into Division 3 final. Now, Louth go to Auckland, and Wicklow don't have a great record in Auckland this year, but as we can see by that graphic, Wicklow are off the bottom by virtue of the fact that they had an away win, a surprise away win in Longford last week, which will have raised a few eyebrows. But were Limerick to lose the game, Jack, let's take that permutation first. The winners of Antrim and Westmeath will be promoted with Louth, because Antrim are playing Westmeath, and they would surpass Limerick at that stage on to 9 points. Were Limerick to lose and Antrim and Westmeath were to draw, then we would have a very interesting scenario in that we would have we'd have 3 teams on 8 points.
I'm going to butt in there for a second on that, because I think, from my calculations, if Limerick lose and Antrim and Westmeath draw, it is Antrim gone through, because for them to draw, neither of them will go up or down in points. And for Limerick to lose, they'll go down. And Antrim are currently plus 17, Westmeath are plus 9, and Limerick are minus 8. So I actually think if Limerick lose...
No, Limerick are plus 8.
Plus 8, sorry. But I think if Limerick lose, they have no way going through.
No, if Limerick... No, I don't think they have, Jack. I don't think it's as simple as that. But there is one little fly in the ointment also, and I think it will also be difficult for Limerick in these circumstances. Were Limerick to draw and Louth to lose, then Limerick would possibly go through, because Limerick, believe it or not, have a 1 point better scoring difference as we speak than Louth.
Yeah.
And Limerick to draw, that would not change. And if Louth were to lose, that situation, as far as they would be concerned, would be deteriorate. So in those circumstances, I think Limerick would go through with the winners of Antrim and Westmeath.
Yes, that is the caveat. So I think for Limerick, like, they know a win 100% true, a draw, you're putting yourself in the mix. You still have a decent, I suppose, just say Louth win, Limerick draw, and there's a winner between Antrim and Westmeath. It'll come down to whoever wins between Antrim and Westmeath. Limerick have the head-to-head against Antrim. They don't against Westmeath. So if Limerick draw, Louth win, Antrim win, Limerick are through. But if that happens and Westmeath win, then Westmeath are through on account of head-to-head. Fermanagh themselves have a chance of going through. They need to beat Limerick and beat Limerick by an awful lot of points, and then hope Antrim and Westmeath draw. That'll bring all those teams, 4 teams, onto 8 points, and then you're going points differential. But it seems for Fermanagh, their chances of going through are very, very slim.
Well, they're slim to none at all, you know.
But it's still, they're a team that are there to win something against Limerick, and that's who we do face this Sunday in the Gaelic Crowns at 2 o'clock.
They're mathematically, Jack, you're correct in saying that they're mathematically not out of the equation.
No, and a team like that is always dangerous because they'll probably go for broke early on because their plus minus is 0 at the moment. They're going to have to get up to 17 at least to surpass Antrim. Which, look, if 17 points in a football game is an awful lot. But look, if they go for broke early on and they start to get goals, like Limerick heads could drop and Fermanagh could rise to the occasion. But what the main point is, Limerick aren't playing a side that their league is finished, or they're not fighting out for relegation either, I suppose, which is a positive. But they do have something to play for. Looking at the bottom of the table for a minute, Matt, it's still interesting. As you said, Wicklow beat Longford, but still you'd have Longford have a better chance of getting out of the way. Wicklow need to win their game against Louth, and they need Longford to beat Laois. I think is the only way they're out. If the 3 teams go on to 5 points, and then it'll come down to points differential. But you'd imagine Laois are relatively safe, barring a load of results going against them. Or no, sorry, they play Longford. If Longford beat Laois, and
if Longford beat Laois, Laois are gone.
Unless Wicklow win as well.
Unless Wicklow win, because if Longford beat Laois, the head-to-head will come into play. They'll be both anchored on 5 points, and the head-to-head will come in there. That's if Wicklow lose.
Yeah, if Wicklow lose and Longford win, Longford are safe and Laois and Wicklow go down. If Wicklow win and Longford win, it goes to points differential. There's just so many permutations. But I suppose we won't have too much more on it because it's probably easier to read than listen to. But if Louth and Limerick win, they're both through, is the long and short of it.
Well, the one thing that I'm happy about, Jack, is that we are talking in the context of Limerick and the permutations at the top of the table.
Yeah, and I suppose this Limerick team over the course of the league, and I'm sure next week we will look back at the league as a whole, but they won their first 2 games and we were flying or whatever, and then I suppose the change of venue against Louth, I suppose it was the same for both teams, but I suppose Limerick threw them off a small bit. Then they came back with the win against Wicklow and lost again to Westmeath, but this side the bounce back ability, and especially on the road, is just incredible. And I was just saying to you yesterday, I wonder is there someone in the Limerick camp that would rather play in Fermanagh this weekend?
Yeah, but you know we've said it time again. Over the last couple of years, it's it's Limerick's ability on with their backs to the wall, the way they can deliver. That is 3 years in a row they have delivered now, and the risk of people getting sick of hearing me saying it. They did it in Sligo in 2020. They did it in Ockram in 2021, and now they're after doing it in Portlaoise. But there's one more crucial step, and like Westmeath have proved to be a bogey team to Limerick over the years, and so have Fermanagh, unfortunately.
Yeah,
we haven't beaten Fermanagh since 2005, I think, and they have beaten us 4 times in the meantime, and or 3 times in a draw. 3 times in a draw. But look, it's a massive game, and but like Jack, when I take you back to that night in Tralee and the opening round of the McGrath Cup. Football is a funny game. Sport is funny, and here we are 2 months later talking about Limerick going up into Division 2. That day, that night anyway, you would be very pessimistic about their chances of surviving in the division even.
Yeah.
But of course, the bounce back was very, very quick, Jack. The bounce back was in the second round against Tipperary.
Yeah.
With a very, very creditable performance, and like it has been onwards and upwards since. And
definitely.
Those two wins in the opening rounds against Longford and Antrim, the Antrim result, Jack, when you see where Antrim are now, was a phenomenal result.
Oh, definitely.
And talking to Billy before the league, he was talking about the comfort of having 4 home games, and like we've 8 points and we've 6 of them on the road.
Yeah, but I suppose the 4 at home will do us. That's because of the away forms being so good. It allows for, I suppose, 2 slip-ups at home. But yeah, it's incredible. And we will look back at the league as a whole next week or the week after as we approach championship. But I don't think the Laois victory should be looked past, because going to Laois, who are still in the promotion hunt at that stage, because they'd be on 7 now if they got the win. They'd be in the same situation as Antrim, Westmeath, and Limerick would be behind them. They'd know that a win would probably be good enough for them. But Limerick started well; they were 10-6 ahead at half time, and then at Laois hit a purple patch. Not like Louth did in UL, and Limerick couldn't pull it back. But I suppose they learned from the Louth game, and I suppose there was probably a bit more patience with the ball, and having a player like Robbie Burke to come in from the stands and kick 3 late points. It's a luxury Limerick have now that I suppose they didn't have before, that strength and depth, that if one isn't going well, another man will step up in his place. And to win that game, as you said, with your backs to the wall, is just an incredible result for this team.
Incredible result, but Jack, we spoke about the backs to the wall and getting results, and we spoke earlier in the year, but it went out the window a small bit against Louth. In the ability of this team to see out games, to be in the hunt, going down the home straight and seeing out the games, they had to do it against Longford. They had to do it against Antrim. They had to do it against Wicklow, because they were down to 14 players. At one stage, they were down to 13 players with 2 black cards, and their ability. Now the Louth game was the one game that they didn't do it in, because they had established a winning position with about 10 minutes to go. They were 5 points up.
Yeah, about 10.
Yeah, and Louth, or was it longer? But whatever it was, anyway, Louth kicked 7 unanswered points at the finish to overturn it. But it's the ability of the team to keep going and see out these games. This, very, very often, this is the Achilles heel that has dogged Limerick. They do so well, be there or thereabouts, going down the home stretch, and fail to make it count. But this team seems to have that type of resilience. But it speaks volumes, Jack. And like we cannot say it often enough. Now we cannot overstate it. The job that Billy Lee has done in assembling his squad.
Yeah.
But in the moment of crisis, or the moment of need in Portlaoise last Saturday, that he was able to summon players from the bench that were game changers.
Oh, most definitely game changers.
In this case, Robbie Burke.
Yep.
That'll give you a sense. And like when you put it against the backdrop of the players that went off the panel at the start of the year, and he has resisted that, and he has weathered that storm. Now Brian Fanning is back on the squad, which is fantastic to see.
Yeah.
But like no team, particularly a team like Limerick, can afford to lose the like of Danny Neville or Tommy Childs, key players, and very, very good squad players in Patrick Scanlon, Seamus O'Carroll, and Dave Connolly.
Yeah, a few more as well, like over the years, yeah. The strength
really,
and depth is there now.
About it, all he did was went away and addressed it and got players into the squad and just got on with it and got over it. And it hasn't by any manner or means been a trouble-free campaign for Limerick injury-wise.
No.
Like we see the Cian Sheehan missed a couple of games. We see the importance that he is to the team. Robbie Childs is dogged with a bit of injuries this year. Patrick Bruin has picked up injuries. Sean O'Dea has picked up injuries. Like key players.
Yeah, it's just a fantastic achievement for Billy and his side. As I said, 2:00 this Sunday in the Gaelic Grounds. It's not clashing with anything from my reckoning. There isn't even Six Nations on. So it should be a good crowd in the two Gaelic Grounds. Support Billy's side, and hopefully after an hour and a half, I suppose you'll be looking forward to Division 2 football. For the first time since I think it was 2007 when I checked, which is 15 years ago. What I will say is, who do you expect? I asked you, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and we thought it might have been Westmeath and hopefully Limerick. What's your thought process on the two that'll go up now?
Louth and Limerick.
Louth and Limerick. Yeah, we'd be happy with that. As long as Limerick are in one of the two, we'll be happy that hopefully Limerick can just get the win.
Who accompanies us up, I don't give a damn, Jack.
Yeah, or else who comes down from Division 2 or who come down from Division 1 if it's Dublin or Monaghan or Donegal, so be it. We'll worry about them next year. But the main thing is to get Limerick football into Division 2 would be a huge bonus. But again, we'll be talking about that next week. Staying on the football, Matt, more success this time for the ladies footballers. 4-10 to 3-9 winners over Fermanagh in an excellent game. For anyone that hasn't watched it, I don't know if it's live yet in the YouTube, but you can definitely get the highlights of a game and a topsy-turvy game. And Fermanagh started it better and Limerick hit back. Fermanagh were always able to keep ahead until close to the end, and Limerick found the goal from Rebecca DeLee and a few Katrina Davis points. But a titanic tussle, but thank God Limerick are into Division 4 final.
Yeah, Jack, and I saw all the game, and it apart from the result, which was just simply fantastic, it was a most enjoyable and a very, very good game of football for Division 4. And that's not a reflection on Division 4. You're right. The early running was made by Fermanagh. You see, Fermanagh have a couple of serious forwards in Blaheen Bogue, of course, Emer Smith, who is probably one of the best forwards in the country, and Sarah Britton. And they made progress early on, but if there's one thing about this Limerick team's passage to the league final, it's the way that the defence has stood up, Jack. The defence has been absolutely excellent when challenged, and we saw it last Sunday when they got to grips with Fermanagh, lessened the influence of the like of Emer Smith Blaheen Bogue and Sarah Britton and you'd Laura Grew there as well. So, some of the best forwards that are playing the game at that level for Manahavum. And as the game progressed, Limerick were getting more and more on top in that section now, which was very, very important. I thought Roisin Ambrose led from the front again. There are so many positives as the weeks go by. Cathy Mee, Jack, is back to her best form. The type of form that would have got her in any county team in the country. She absolutely fantastic last week. Rebecca DeLee, Katrina Davis, Mairead Kavanagh. Mairead Kavanagh ends up with 2 goals. She could easily have ended up with 4. She was unlucky to see 2 more going and begging. Like we've quite a good forward line and have players to come off the bench as well, which is very, very important. And another thing that has impressed me great, again and it's not for the first time this year, is the placing of Amy Ryan. Amy Ryan was full forward and our main goal scoring threat for the last couple of years. She's now playing wing back and playing there very, very effectively.
Yeah.
And of course, Leah Coughlin was also in her early days in the forwards, and she's now bedding into at centre half back. But another positive, and as if we haven't enough of positives in that, and it was just absolutely fantastic to see that Niamh Ryan was named and tugged out last week. One of our best dual stars over the last 10 years, without a doubt. A huge boost to Limerick ladies football and a huge boost for John Lillis and the camogie team. A player of the calibre of Niamh Ryan. Now, she did have a hand injury, which has ruled her out of action. But thankfully, she's back and is going to be a huge, huge plus to Graham Shine and John Lillis. Now, interestingly and belatedly, Deborah Murphy and Cameron O'Leary made their football debuts.
Yep.
And of course, we got from them what we expected from them. High energy performance. And Cameron O'Leary was involved in the winning goal.
Yeah,
which was beautifully finished by Rebecca DeLee. So it's happy days for Graham Shine and his backroom team. They will travel to play Offaly wherever it is, Jack, with no little confidence. They have reason to be confident. They have beaten Offaly already in the campaign. But Jack, if you looked at the league from the outset, and I think you and I are probably as guilty as anybody else of making this judgment, we would have said that the strong teams in Division 4 this year were Fermanagh and Leitrim. And they're both gone.
Yeah, it just shows how that can turn. I suppose Fermanagh beat Limerick in the 2020 All-Ireland semi-final. I suppose it was a bit of revenge there last Sunday. But yeah, an exceptional game. There's no, as you said, there's no venue on the final yet, but it is Offaly in the final Sunday, April 3rd. It's just something to look forward to. And I suppose Limerick have been knocking on that Division 4 door for a long time now at this stage. They had that brief respite in intermediate football in 2019. Didn't go to plan, but I suppose consistent building, like the men's footballers, they were in Division 4 not so long ago, and they're looking to get to Division 2. So you're hoping for the same for Graham Shine and his side. But yeah, we'll look forward to that game more in depth as the final approaches. But how good is it to have a final to look forward to, guaranteed, after I suppose 6 or 7 weeks of the league?
Jack, can I dream for a minute?
Yeah, you can, of course.
A men's Division 3 title doubled up with a ladies Division 4 title. Wouldn't it be just lovely?
He would, and it's not even.
It's not that far away, and it's not that as unimaginable as you think.
2 years ago now, you might have said that them lads are dreaming altogether, but like that's a very realistic possibility. And again, down to the work of Billy Lee and his side and all the work that's gone on with the ladies footballers, that we can dare to dream of 2 football titles to come after. Well, I suppose the Hurlers, they're out of the league, but that's beside the point. That game against Offaly is April the 3rd, so we'll have another week to look forward to that. There is camogie this weekend. The juniors are in action against Clare in Father McNamara Park at Saturday at 2 o'clock. A disappointing outing for Tim McGrath's side in the first round against Wexford. I suppose the less said about that, the better. For a really young side against Clare, who we beat last year, it's a completely different team. So you can't be expecting to beat Clare, but you'll be looking for building blocks, just a positive performance against the near neighbours. And they probably know each other from playing up along the ranks. But most importantly, is performance you'll be looking for.
Yeah, it is, Jack. And the squad that I saw that travelled to Wexford, there wasn't a single one of them that was involved in the squad last year. That will tell you what a big change it is, and what a big task it is for Tim McGrath and his management team. But it has to start as a building block. Less said about the Wexford result, the better. It was very disappointing, Jack, to get a walkover in what was Limerick's only home game. Limerick were due to play Down last weekend, and Down were unable to travel. And I suppose Down got beaten 5-17 to no score by Clare in the opening round. So I suppose. But my understanding, Jack, in Division 3 of the Little Woods League is that there's only one team qualifying for the final.
Yeah.
There are not semi-finals. Division 1 and Division 3 have straight finals. There's a whole raft of quarter-finals, semi-finals, and final in Division 2, by the way, which includes Division 2, which includes Waterford seniors and Wexford seniors.
Yeah.
But that's another story. But it's going to be a tough task. Anytime you go to Father McNamara Park, we went there last year. You'll recall in the seniors and dug a win out of it. But difficult place to go. Any Clare venue is, it's not easy. So look, I think Tim McGrath will be looking just for performance and see what kind of a performance he can get, and get an improved performance on the Wexford performance, and let most of the girls. It's a complete new scenario for them. Adult inter-county camogie. It's a big step up, and they're a very, very young side. So let's hope for the best, Jack.
Yeah, we'll hope for the best. Hopefully, pulling on that green jersey the last day will just give them that feel of it, and that they can, I suppose, hit the ground running against Clare. So the best wishes to them on Saturday in Father McNamara Park. We had hurling at the weekend. The Limerick Hurlers finally won, Matt. It wasn't all doom and gloom. Eventually, looked at standard of opposition has to take into account. Offaly were well beaten in all their games. I think it was at -83. Is probably more an indictment on the system than Offaly themselves. Look, there's no point in them. Well, I suppose there is point, but it's relatively unfair. But Limerick got the job done. They got 4 goals and 29 points against any opposition. It's a good barometer because scoring had been a real issue for Limerick. They were, 11 points against Wexford. Was it 118 against Galway? The scores weren't coming that easily, whereas they did that bit more freely against Offaly. Will give them some semblance of confidence for Cork next month?
I think it will, Jack, because there are a lot of parallels between the Limerick League campaign of 2021 and 2022. It started very poorly in 2021, picked up momentum as it went along, and then we saw what happened in the championship. I think it's a very, very, very timely boost, and we were speculating there for the last number of weeks that that John Kiley perhaps was gearing up everything for Easter Sunday, and the clash with Cork, and that would be true to form for the last number of years, and it looks as if it's the same again. An awful lot of things came together last week, and I suppose we have to mention the return of Mike Casey.
Yeah.
We mentioned his potential return last week, and it's like as if he has never been away. So he's an incredible addition, and as we said last week, has given John Kiley an incredible headache when it comes to the selection of his team. But of course, it'll give him a lot of options. Jack, I think it's a major boost. It's a timely boost. It's Limerick's last series competitive game before they go down to Park Key for the first round of the championship. Because you'll be going down to play a Cork side that will certainly have one game more. They're due to play Kilkenny in the league semi-final this weekend, and possibly a potential final the week after, where they're to overcome Kilkenny. And to be a brave man that would bet against them not beating Kilkenny in their own Park Key on Saturday evening. So I think it's a major boost. John Kiley seemed to be very, very pleased with the level of commitment, the level of intensity. There was a marked improvement in a lot of the shortcomings that he had identified after the Clare game. So I think it's going very, very, very much in the right direction, and it's a huge confidence boost. And I think you're going to see you're going to see a return to the Limerick that we have known for the last 3 or 4 years when we go down to Cork.
Yeah, you mentioned they're going to plan. I suppose John would be hoping to find, I suppose, 2 or 3 every year is kind of what you're kind of looking for. For me, I think Cathal O'Neill really announced himself in the 5 games. Was quite enough against Wexford. I think everyone was quiet, but since then has been a real shining light for Limerick. You mentioned Mike Casey there, hit the ground running as if he was never away. I think Barry Nash was real standout as well. Is there anyone that you think, okay, despite the results, they weren't great, that has really put their hand up saying, I want to feature this year, or even like the Barry Nash who was cementing his place, even though there's competition coming from all ends in the full back line?
Yeah, well, Barry Nash has his issued a rallying call like, I'm in possession, come and take it off me if you're able. And certainly I've been hugely impressed with Barry Nash, and I've been hugely impressed with him in the Munster Club, or in the Munster Senior Cup when he was captain of the team. And I thought he led from the front and was excellent. I can't see Barry Nash position being at risk. Now he was cornerback last Sunday and he got among the goals. So that will tell you the type of all-round player that Barry Nash is. Yeah, you're right there when you say that Cathal O'Neill absolutely put up his hand. I think Colin Coughlin could be quite pleased enough, Jack. A few cameo appearances by Brian O'Grady could be quite pleased enough. Of course, Mike Casey we know, and then we come to this corner forward position, and who will fill the boots of Peter Casey? I would be still going with Graham Mulcahy.
Yeah, he proved you right with 4 points at the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I have the utmost faith in Mull. He's delivered it for so long and so often. And Graham Mulcahy is a real quality player, Jack. And it epitomizes the bounty of riches that's at John Kiley's disposal when he has Aaron Gillan, Adam English, Graham Mulcahy, Peter Casey, when Peter will be available, looking for 2 positions between them. That's a very, very, very strong position. I'm sure any manager across the country would give their right arm for it.
Yeah.
But looking back at last week, and we were talking about likely pretenders to Limerick's throne, and we were sort of half identifying Cork and Galway. Jack, don't rule out Kilkenny.
Oh, definitely not. Yeah, they're obviously playing Cork in the league semi-finals, you said, and it's Wexford and Waterford, another one. I suppose we'll look at those counties more as we approach the Munster Championship, because it's only 4 weeks away, man. It's not that far away. Like Cork could be brimming with confidence, or if they lose Kilkenny at home, they'll think it's another chance for Miss Silverway. And we said the nature of the league and with Championship so close that 1 week could make a huge difference positively or negatively. Like if you're Cork now, you're under pressure first and foremost to win at home, and then if you win at home to take home a bit of silverware. Like, so pressure is really on Cork. And I think Limerick, I was talking to someone, they said they were on a hard block of training while the league was going on. They'll have ample time now for recovery to get everything right. Discipline was much improved against Offaly. There was no semblance of any even yellow card. What I will say is William O'Donoghue looked to be limping after the game. No, maybe that was just what I was looking at him. He's one player you couldn't really afford to be missing.
No, but we have 4 weeks to get him right. And you're right there. That there's a window of opportunity to clear up the knocks. You see, I spoke there earlier about Cork having potentially the 2 games. There might be a slight downside to that as well, Jack. For the very reason that you've said that Limerick are going to have a clear run. Like if you're going to play 2 more games, you're going to risk injuries for starters, and secondly, were you to win the competition, suddenly going into the first round of the championship, you're the team to be knocked. Plus the fact that were you to lose the final, what would the fallout from it be? So I think on balance, after the performance of last week, I think John Curley will be quite happy to go away nice and quietly for the next month and prepare his team and have him in fine fettle when they go down to Cork at Easter.
Yeah, I think it's an ideal run-in. Looking at the other teams, because Munster, like how do you pick 3 out of the 5? Now, I do think there is. I think for me, Limerick, Cork, and Waterford are a bit ahead. But in a 4-game series, like Tip will definitely fancy their chances, and so will Clare. When you have Tony Kelly and Jason Ford, like you're guaranteed between 110 and 115 on any given day. It's a huge scoring stake. Like, can you see Tipperary or Clare causing upset Munster? And we will touch on it closer to the championship. But for now, do you think there is a gulf between the top 3, or it's anyone's game in Munster?
It's anybody's game in Munster, Jack. I wouldn't discount Tipperary for 1 minute. You know, I wouldn't discount Clare. Like, I'm not sure. I know Clare have Limerick in Innis. I don't know what the other game that they have in Innis. Innis is a very, very hard place to win, Jack.
Yeah,
you know, they'll be saying to themselves, "Let's get 4 points in Innis, and we'll pick up what we can on the road." Now, Cork have only 1 home game. That's against Limerick, because they've
had Sheeran at home.
They've had Sheeran at home. So they have forfeited the right to the second home game. So, you know, that could change the dynamic in that. But I would still fancy Cork to come through. Jack, if you're asking me the 3, Limerick and is my answer.
Limerick and?
Yes.
You're just avoiding the question there. Yeah, look, there's time to look at that. In greater depth. I mean,
you can sit down, you can talk about the 5 counties that are involved in it, and you can make a compelling case for each one of them being in the top 3, each one of them being in the Munster final, and almost each one of them winning the Munster final.
Yeah, pretty much. They all have pedigree. I can't remember the last time Clare won Munster, but they've all won Munster relatively in recent times. I think Cork has a while as well. But yeah, look, if you could make a case for any of them, they've all been to All-Ireland finals in, I suppose, Limerick and Cork last year, Tip in 19, Waterford in 2020, Clare in 13. Like, they've all been at the biggest stage in the last 10 years. Like, so there's huge pedigree there.
Waterford have been there twice, 2017 and 2020.
Yeah. Yeah, like
You know,
Tipperary have won it 3 times in the last 12, 13 years. Clare was, like you had mentioned, Cork haven't won it since 05, and Waterford's, I suppose it's a famine at this stage. But in Munster, like, you can't look at the All Ireland series in Munster or Leinster, because in Leinster, all right, Westmeath and Laois seem to be outside the reckoning, but then you have Dublin, Wexford, Galway, and Kilkenny, and only 3 can go through. Like, you're going to lose 3 big teams before you get to All Ireland. But that's the beauty of this, and we'll look forward to that and more as it closes in. Keeping with the hurling, Matt, Ardscoil Rís finally did it at the 4th attempt to beat the black and white hoops of St. Kieran's College, and a brilliant performance from Niall Moran's side, 117 to 15 victors. But they kind of kept them at arm's length for a lot of the contest. I think they had 5 points in a row in the first half, and playing in Croke Park didn't faze them one bit. Hit the ground running. When you have the likes of Shane O'Brien and David Kennedy and JJ Carey and these lads going well, like you're a match for any side. And the omens look very good, because when you think of we talked about it last week, the Ardscoil Rís teams that couldn't get over the line and what they produced in terms of All Ireland winners for Limerick, the future is certainly very bright for those young lads and for Limerick hurling.
It is, Jack. It was a major fillip, and they were very, very worthy winners, Jack. And I know the deal wasn't sealed until the 56th minute when David Kennedy got that goal, Jack. But from a stage early in the first half, you could rarely see Ardscoil not winning it.
Yeah.
Like they accepted a level of dominance, and it mightn't have been reflected fully on the scoreboard. You must remember the Alan Dunphy, the St. Kieran's goalkeeper, made 2 stunning saves in the first half. Had one of those gone in, that there would have been clearer daylight between the sides. But you got what you expected from St. Kieran's. St. Kieran's aren't leading the Roll of Honour in the Croke Cup by accident. They haven't been the most successful college in it by accident. They haven't appeared in more finals than anybody else by accident. And they weren't going to roll over, and they had a decent performance against St. Joseph's Tulla in the semi-final. I saw both semi-finals, and as I said last week, I was pretty confident that Ardscoil would get the better of them, and that is the way it transpired. But you had some great performances by you know, when you go to Croke Park and when you go to a final and when you're trying to end a hoodoo or lay a bogey or do anything like that, one thing that's absolutely crucial, Jack, is that your big players stand up. And they stood up in spades. Like Ardscoil were looking to Shane O'Brien, and by God, did he deliver some performance on the biggest stage. Niall O'Farrell, David Kennedy, Cian Scully, Vince Harrington, JJ Carey. You can roll off the names. They were absolutely excellent. I thought the fullback John Fitzgerald had a fine game until he had to retire injured. And they were able to withstand. They were able to withstand that loss. Evan O'Leary at cornerback, his block before halftime was absolutely crucial. But it was a microcosm of the way that Ardscoil were approaching it. That the intensity and the level of commitment and passion that they had brought to it. That he got in that position because young Ben Whitty he looked destined to score.
Yeah.
And he literally came from nowhere to from that that lockdown. And I'm only just saying that because, as I said, it epitomized the way Ardscoil went about the game and why they are champions, why they've won the Croke Cup. And it was memorable for Limerick because it's hard to believe that the Croke Cup hasn't found residency in Limerick since 1966. When Limerick CBS won the Croke Cup for the second time in 3 years. And at that stage, we thought we were in for a feast of Croke Cups. But actually, we got a famine. And let's hope now that this is the start of a new feast.
Yeah, it was long overdue for Limerick and long overdue for Ardscoil Rís, who again have consistently shown they can get to that level, and they came up against exceptional St. Kieran's side. Let's not make no bones about it, but they got the job done.
Like they had a couple of exceptional players, like St. Kieran's, Joe Fitzpatrick at centre back, but physically and a hurler was absolutely immense. James Carroll at midfield, who was a grandson of the late Ted Carroll, former All-Ireland winner with Kilkenny and a former Kilkenny County Secretary, as far as I remember. And you had Harry Shine. They had some very, very, very good players, but like on the day, I'd say they will be first to put their hands up and say that they were beaten by a better team. Congratulations to Niall Moran. He stuck with it with a long, long, long time. Yeah. And and he has been keen to emphasise along the way, and particularly along this journey, like that the downside of the number of near misses this particular group of players had. But maybe, Jack, it whetted the hunger, it whetted the appetite, and certainly they delivered. And they delivered, and Ardscoil and Limerick can be proud of what their performance in Croke Park last Thursday.
Yeah, congratulations to all the players. You mentioned Niall Moran there, I suppose, Liam Crone and Conor McDonovan. There's so much more goes on behind the scenes in that school, and like you definitely wouldn't rule them out win another in the near future, because it's just the talent they have at their disposal. But they'll always be Croke Cup champions. They can always say that. They can never take that away from them. So congratulations to Ardscoil Rís, and all the best for the years to come. I suppose talking of underage, Matt, we have the coming of Ardscoil semi-finals.
Before we go away from colleges, Jack, and it went under the radar a small bit. On Wednesday last, Coláiste Joseph Agus Ida won the Munster Colleges Senior Hurling E Championship, which was a very, very notable win, because as we know that Abbeyfield is the bastion of one of the bastions of football in Limerick. But they had a 26-man squad drawn from Tournafulla and Templedanton. There were 17 players from Templedanton and 9 from Tournafulla. And they had a very, very good win, Jack. And they did it against the odds. They won by 215 to 213. And they did it for the most part with 14 players, as they had a player sent off as early as the 17th or 18th minute. Okay. So it was an incredible performance. Now they had started very brightly. They had moved into a 6 points lead early on. They were playing Manskull, excuse my Irish, SN Unrin from Waterford.
Oh, yes. And
by half-time, just coming up to half-time, Manskull had drawn back level. And Adam Fitzgerald, who was the team captain, got a goal from a free just before half-time to give the Abbeyfield side a goal lead at half-time. And, with 14 players facing the entire second half, you wondered, was it enough? But it was enough. And they held out. And it's a notable victory, Jack, because certainly it's a fantastic school for sport, and a whole raft of sport in that they take part in football, obviously basketball, rugby. I see they were one of the first names in for the ladies rugby Munster Cup, which was inaugurated this year. Great school for sport. And certainly one that you wouldn't be expecting to see him among the Roll of Honour for hurlers, for hurling, but absolutely fantastic for everybody. Congratulations to Dave Kennelly back there, and to Seamus O'Sullivan, the former Limerick goalkeeper, who were the mentors behind the team. And it's a boost for hurling in that area of the county, and it's a boost for Limerick hurling, Jack.
Yeah, definitely a boost for that area.
Yeah, definitely a boost for the game. Like in that area where, but Tournafulla and Templedanton have been doing fantastic work for hurling over the years. And like this is just a reward they deserve. And huge congratulations again to them.
Yeah, congratulations to Ardscoil and obviously the Abbeyfield School on winning hurling honours, which was expected for Ardscoil, but I suppose for Clash Dogs Joseph, it's brilliant to see that, like, I suppose coming from two parishes as well shows just the work done there. There's a couple of things I just want to get through before we finish. I started about the coming Mulls Cup. We come to that in a minute. You wanted to talk about Shea for Dave on May 28th. I know it's something close to your heart.
Yeah, Jack. It's fixed for. It's going to be on in the GA complex in Ballylanders on the 28th of May, and it's a tribute night to the late Dave Walsh, who died unexpectedly at the outset of the pandemic. Dave Walsh was known, loved, and liked the length and breadth of County Limerick and beyond. Like, he dedicated his life to Gaelic football. He was Ballylanders representative on the South Board and the County Board for many, many, many years up to the time of his death. And now the Ballylanders and the Garrisballan clubs have come together for a tribute night for Dave on the 28th. And obviously shave for Dave. People will be growing beards. I don't know whether you're going to shave or not, Jack, for that, but and they'll be shaving on the night. Now, I just put it into context. The late Dave Walsh was the uncle of the Ryan brothers, who we all know with Garrisballan, TJ, David, and Donny, and they've come together. And, as I said, that there will be shaving on the night, but there will also be a very, very interesting panel discussion on the night. And it will feature, on Gaelic Games, it will feature a high-powered panel. Obviously, TJ Ryan will be in it, Mark Landers will be in it, Anthony Daly will be in it, and Kerry's Tomas O'Shea will be in it. So it's a very, very high. It's mainly drawn from the those that are involved in Anthony Daly's podcast is relocating to Ballylanders for a night, and Tomas O'Shea will be joining in, and there'll be fellas getting their hair off and getting shaved and every sort of a thing. It's going to be a great night. But look, Jack, it is a night essentially that's a tribute to a man that was a legend. And I know the word can be thrown around very, very loosely. Dave Walsh will never, Jack, be forgotten. And the contribution he made one of the most affable and likable people you could ever meet was Dave Walsh. And I got a sense of it when he passed away. Suddenly, the number of people that contacted me personally know was it a fact that it was the Dave Walsh that they knew that had passed away, because he larger than life character, great character, loved by everybody. And I hope certainly that I expect it will be a full house that night, because such was the esteem that he was held among his own community, among his adopted community. He native of Galbally, lived in over around Garrisballan, Galbally, certainly actually probably in the parish of Galbally. His adopted community, and certainly held in huge esteem among the GA family. So that's on the 28th million, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it again before then.
Yeah, a fitting tribute. Another thing that's happening this weekend, we touched on the Club Limerick Draw at the start, is the start of the Con and Annie Kirby Memorial Stake in the Limerick Greyhound track. Brilliant initiative every year. Every club gets a nominated dog, and there's a big prize for the winning dog. I don't know too much about it now this year, as it hasn't started yet. But I know for Ballysteen, it's Jim Crack who we're cheering on in Heath 11. Who's for Ballylanders and Glenroe, do you know? Or?
No, but I all I can tell you is that it's just a fantastic concept, and again testimony to the generosity of JP McManus and the McManus family, and it ties in very, very nicely with JP McManus's great love of GAA and undoubted love of GAA, and Noreen McManus's and her commemorating her parents who were very, very, very much into the Greyhound racing. It's starting, you're right, Jack, it's starting on Saturday night when there will be 13 heats. But Jack, we spoke earlier in this cast about the Club Limerick draw, and the concept of this is just absolutely fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Fantastic way of mobilising the clubs early in the year, and some in with, everyone starting next Saturday night is in with a chance of getting the 10,000 first prize.
Yeah,
which is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So, like, it generates huge interest. And God knows, Jack, there's enough of bad news around the world with Ukraine and with COVID. It's great to have an antidote like the Conan and Kirby Memorial Stakes and things like that to take our minds off those. But it's just a fantastic concept, and full marks to JP McManus and the McManus family for the whole idea and their generosity in one of the biggest stakes in the country, if not, So
yeah, the best of luck to all teams involved. I suppose best of luck to teams involved in league action this weekend. I know for share teams.
Did you say best of luck to the teams or to the dogs?
I suppose best of luck to both. I suppose they're all for one for the next 5 weeks if they can get that far. Whoever whose dog is winning, their team is winning, I suppose, in a way, because they're that bit closer to 10,000 prize. But there's league action anyway again this weekend, football league action. I suppose a lot of teams didn't get a start last week, just a week was in it, so it'll be the start of the season for a share team. So best wishes to all those. But to finish off today, the coming Ardscoil, Matt, the semi-finals and finals are quickly approaching next week. And we talked about it before, but it's important for these competitions to have made a return and just make it feel like we're returning back to normality.
It is, Jack. It's their first time back in 3 years. We've got the Mackey in Hurling and the Neville in camogie. The Mackey dedicated to the late Mick Mackey, and the Neville Cup presented in honour of Etna Neville, a former Great Limerick camogie player. Jack, the coming of Ardscoil, is where many of the players that featured against Offaly last week, many of the players that featured against Laois, many of the players that featured against Fermanagh started off their careers. And the young kids are going to school, and they're representing their school and they're representing their clubs. And this is their first opportunity and the first taste that they get of playing representative when they're being selected to represent their division, which is an honour in itself. So this weekend or next week, the Mackey and Neville Cups will both be decided. On Tuesday, now it's West against City and it's South against East. And on Tuesday, the Mackey Cup semi-finals will take place in Mick Neville Park, the two semi-finals at 12:30. And the Neville Cup semi-finals will take place also at Mick Neville Park at 1:30. Then we fast forward to Thursday. And the prize for the winners on Tuesday is to get to play in the Gaelic grounds. And fast forward to Thursday, and the finals are on in the Gaelic grounds, with the Mackey Cup final throwing in at 2:00 and the Neville Cup final throwing in at 3. So we say best of luck to all the young players, the stars of the future, We will hope that they will be aspiring to replace the Dermot Burns, the Declan Hannons of this world. And you must remember, it is the breeding ground for a lot of the players that have come through to play for the Limerick senior hurling team. And if you talk to the players that have, they're immensely proud of having been involved in those competitions.
Of course,
so,
and rightly so. The best
and so well done. Well done to Joe Lyons and everybody involved with Coming to Ardscoil, Brother Dormer, all the teachers, and put an awful lot of work into it. But it is the breeding ground, and these competitions, as I said, are the first opportunity that young players have of playing representative hurling or representative camogie, or being selected for somebody other than their club or school.
Yeah, and as great as all it is to see the success with the senior teams at the moment, as you mentioned, the likes of Declan Hannon, who has lifted Liam McCarthy 3 times, and I suppose Ian Corbett and Donald Sullivan, joint captains of Limerick football, they're not around forever, and this is where I suppose the new Declan Hannons, the new Ian Corbetts, the new Amy Ryans, these new players will make their breakthrough. So the best luck to all of them. Again, a best luck to the camogie team, the junior camogie team on Saturday in Clare. But I think all roads this weekend lead to the Gaelic Rounds on Sunday at 2 o'clock to cheer on Billy and his side, and hopefully we can get a second promotion in 3 years. And what an achievement it would be, but an achievement worthy of their effort, I definitely think, Matt. So please God, this time next week. Go on.
We need a 16th man against Fermanagh.
Yeah.
And the great GA family of Limerick can provide that 16th man by turning out in numbers and cheering on the lads.
I think there's definitely, I feel, a buzz around this weekend going into that game. Just a huge opportunity for Limerick. Not entirely. I'm not entirely surprised by Billy Lee and his side to be in this position. I know the work that's going on behind the scenes up there, the work of Billy and Shamey and Shane Kelly and these Adrian O'Brien and these lads, like and the players themselves.
Morris Horn is on board as well.
Yeah, and can't forget the players, as you mentioned, they're going off the panel that put in the work at the start. So hopefully they can get the job done. It'll be a joyous day, definitely a joyous day in the Gaelic Rounds. As I said, it's 2007, 15 years is a long time to be away from second division football. We could have Dublin in the Gaelic Rounds next year. We could have Cork. We could have Derry or Roscommon or Galway. We'll have one of them definitely if we get promoted. A huge opportunity to Billy and his side. We wish them all the best of luck, and please God, we'll be talking about that next week and more, Matt. But that's it for today. Again, a huge thank you to you, Matt, for taking part, and for everyone for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the weekend. As I said, the weather is kind of turning a bit. We'll be able to get out a bit more and enjoy it. And the clocks are going forward, if I'm right, on Saturday. So next week,
18 degrees tomorrow, Jack, they're saying.
Yeah, so you'll be waking up and it'll be bright, and you'll be going home from work and it'll be bright for majority of the evening. So look, it's something to look forward to, definitely, Matt. But for now, we'll leave it at that. Thank you, Matt, and thank you to everyone listening. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Jack.
The impression again we get out with what you put into. It's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
Not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods, and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well, God, Johnny Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word go today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Curry. Curry leading the charge of the left brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it high. He's put it over.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.